But also, not only you know, the radio, like older brothers of friends and siblings, brought a lot of different music in, boyfriends that my sister were dating at the time. I always remember, I think a guy that my sister was dating, she exposed me to Alice Cooper for the first time. And yeah, I was like, yeah, definitely, this is great. I love some Alice Cooper. I've seen Alice Cooper several times. If you've never seen a show, you should go out and see an Alice Cooper show because, yeah, it's fun, and he does a great job. So definitely check it out. So this is kind of me just talking about whatever about music and the impact that it's had on my life. I don't know if you're interested or care, but the radio, as it moved into the 80s, you had MTV kick in. So now not only could I listen to music, I could watch music. And people, in the beginning of MTV, they talk about how the new British wave of music came in, and it was really due to MTV because the Brits were the only ones like making videos at the time. They were the ones that were kind of like conceptualizing their songs and trying to make them interesting, where like most of American bands were just concert footage, them just doing live shows, and or just something was kind of half-assed put together sometimes, I think. And then they realized, making a video was a huge part of, selling those records. But still very radio oriented. You could not definitely watch TV in your car at the time. So you still had, your radio, unless you had a tape deck, then you could play whatever you wanted. Maybe started out with an 8-track, which I listened to a lot of AC/DC on 8-track in one of my sister's boyfriend's car. And he had a Pinto that had this shitty 8-track in, but he had like a ton of early AC/DC, and I just remember like going around, driving around with him and smoking weed and and listening to AC/DC Power Rage, and I don't know why they couldn't figure it. I don't know. 8-tracks were a pain in the ass. Like even in Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, it would fade out and fade back into the next track. It was ridiculous. So, and then cassettes happened where you got a full side, like a record, but it was on a cassette, but you have this high hiss, and if you had a shitty tape deck, it would just sounded worse, and you're pumping it through some shitty 6x9s in the back of your broken down Nova, trying to make music. Where I had this Ford Escort wagon that was blue, and the head gasket was blowing in it, and I had just these speakers chucked in the back. I actually had home speakers in the back, riding around and blow white smoke out of the back, and I'm playing Metallica and Anthrax. So yeah, that's what was going on in Springfield, Ohio at the time. That's how we lived our life. But, I just thought I'd talk about radio a little bit, and, my local radio station growing up with, Dayton, Ohio for sure, WTUE, we rock Dayton. And then, on a good night, you could catch Columbus, which was QFM 96. That was the rock station up there, so that was always like a treat when you get close to Columbus. You could listen to QFM 96. And people were like, what's the Q for? I think that was the time they were like one of the stations that decided that they were going to broadcast in quadraphonic, which was a thing in the 70s, but later died out, which led to, obviously Dolby Surround and the 5-point surround and whatever we've got today. Actually we've just gone back to a freaking speaker, listening to music where we're not actually, getting the in-depth sound of that stereo impact of it moving through space and time, I guess you could say. Anyway, that's all I got tonight. Thanks for listening. Keep checking out the channel. You never know what's going to happen. I'm just trying to make things better. So I thought I would just sit here and talk to you guys about how I thought about music again. So anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great evening. Peace.